Spotlight is brought to you by NexusDigitalComics.com.
On today's Spotlight, we honor John Higgins. It's odd, one of the greatest comics of all time, Watchmen, celebrates the writer and inker, Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons respectively, on the cover, and yet, when I open the pages, my excitement centers solely around the colorful emotions portrayed. Don't mistake my point, that book has an amazing story, rich with wonderful backstories, and the line art does a spectacular job capturing it, but the truth is, I see the colors first. The 80s had a way of really using color to great effect, and Higgins was proof of that. Once he establishes the feel of the characters, he literally paints them in new lights to grab the emotion behind them. Flipping through Watchmen once more, you notice how the characters are well defined. As the comic leads to the climax, however, the characters really blend into the chaos around them. At the summit of the story, with what happens in New York, there are wildly contrasting colors, the greens and pinks and oranges. It epitomizes the insanity. And with the resolution after Veidt's Antarctica base, the characters once again gain their appropriate hues as the world settles into their new destiny. I suppose that the colors, which reflected the technology of the era's printers, could be viewed as almost cartoony in their pastel demeanor, but once you begin reading the books, it grips you and sets the mood in such a way that the more realistic comics could never do. Higgins' ability allowed the colors to speak volumes of content, which helped keep the text bubbles to a minimum. It's unfortunate that modern comics have, for the most part, neglected the extreme use of color, preferring instead to use subtle changes that represent the character's surroundings as opposed to the character's emotional state. I would love to see a retrofitting of the old techniques brought over into today's era. John Higgins has used an almost abstract approach to coloring for comics, and the style is reflected in his portfolio. He has worked, on many occasions, with Alan Moore, and has contributed his talents to Judge Dredd and Batman: The Killing Joke, and worked on a variety of other stories. That's the rundown on the great John Higgins, so go out and enjoy the culmination of art and literature that is comics. That's our Spotlight. I'm Nick saying, support your local comic shop. Thanks for listening.